You know, guys, it should really come as no surprise that I am not a huge fan of elected Republicans. I don't think they have good ideas. I don't think they know how to govern. I don't think they care about their constituents. And at least in today's MAGA world, most of these Republicans just kind of are right out in the open, right? They wear their cruelty on their sleeves. They seem to show no regard for their constituents or the America that I know and love. And then you got these so-called moderate Republicans, and they pretend as though they're living above the fray, right? They pretend that, oh, I'm way better than those MAGA lunatics. But in the end, as it always happens, these so-called moderate Republicans, they fall in line. They vote with these MAGA lunatics. And that is exactly what Lisa Murkowski did on this big disastrous bill. And then she had the gall to go online afterwards and pretend that this was the hardest thing she had to do and that this bill, it needs to get better. But you voted for the damn bill. So I want to go ahead and take a look at a reporter confronting her after her vote and just get a load of this answer. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
There. Senator Paul said that this was that your vote was a bailout for Alaska at the expense of the rest of the country.
Oh my.
That's what Senator Paul said.
The question was easy. Senator, we've got the...
I didn't say it, ma'am. I'm just asking for your response.
My response is I have an obligation to the people of the state of Alaska. And I live up to that every single day. I fight for my state's interests, and I make sure that Alaskans are understood. I work hard to take care of a state that has more unique situations, more unique people, and it's just different. And so when people suggest that federal dollars go to one of our 50 states in a, quote, bailout, I find that offensive. I advocated for my state's interests. I will continue to do that, and I will make no excuses for doing that. Do I like this bill? No, because I tried to take care of Alaska's interests, but I know that in many parts of the country, there are Americans that are not going to be advantaged by this bill. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that we moved through an artificial deadline, an artificial timeline, to produce something, to meet a deadline, rather than to actually try to produce the best bill for the country.
You got to be kidding me. You don't like the bill? You don't think that it's in its best form? You know it's going to disadvantage whole swaths of our country, and somehow you're the one who is offended that somebody called you out on your bullshit? Just to give you the lay of the land, everybody, the vote came down to 50-50. Which means if Lisa Murkowski did not vote for this bill, J.D. Vance would not have been able to cast the tie-breaking vote. How is it that you're coming out now and saying, oh, I don't even like this bill? It's not a very good bill at all. But I went ahead and voted for it anyways. Because Lisa Murkowski was able to get some carve-outs for the people of Alaska. She was able to, get more tax deductions for fishermen. And she was able to get some work requirement exemptions for tribal, or for reservations, or the tribes up there in Alaska. That is what Lisa Murkowski sold the American people out for. And then she comes out afterwards, and she wants to whine about it. You've got to be kidding me. I mean, wasn't it just Lisa Murkowski just a couple months ago coming out and saying that it's really hard to stand up, but I will do the best I can for my constituents in Alaska? And that she made this admission that how she's actually kind of scared, but she will use her voice. Do you guys remember this clip from just a couple months ago?
What do you have to say to people who are afraid, or who represent people who are afraid? We are all afraid. Okay? It's quite a statement. But we are, we're in a time and a place where I don't know, I certainly have not been here before. And I'll tell you, I'm oftentimes very anxious myself about using my voice, because retaliation is real, and that's not right.
Now, I'm going to stop it there in the interest of time, but Lisa Murkowski goes on in this very same speech, and she says that she would use her mother's charm to make sure that she's getting the best deal for the constituents of Alaska and for our country. Is that what she showed us by voting for this big disastrous bill? By voting for this bill that is going to strip millions upon millions of people of their health care? Voting for a bill that is going to kick millions of people off of their food assistance? A bill that is going to try to incentivize coal energy while putting an additional tax on green energy, which is going to make energy prices more expensive for everybody? Because right now, solar is the cheapest energy that we can produce. And they are trying to do away with all of that in the interest of fucking coal. And you've got Lisa Murkowski saying that, well, this isn't a really good bill. I don't really like the bill. She even came out afterwards and said, I really hope that the House can make some changes to this bill and get it to where it needs to be. Are you kidding me? Why did you vote for the damn bill? And then she posted this on Twitter after her vote. She said, this was one of the hardest votes I have ever taken during my time in the Senate. Okay? She goes on to list a few of the positives, in her view, that this bill has, a couple of the provisions that she likes in the bill. And then she says, these provisions will benefit our economy. But it is the people of Alaska that I worry most about, especially when it comes to the potential loss of social safety net programs, Medicaid coverage, and SNAP benefits that our most vulnerable populations rely on. Okay, Lisa Murkowski. Okay. You're concerned about the social safety nets. And then she finishes off by saying, while we have worked to improve the present bill for Alaska, it is not good enough for the rest of our nation, and we all know it. My sincere hope is that this is not the final product. This bill needs more work across chambers and is not ready for the president's desk. We need to work together to get this right. What are you talking about? You were the deciding vote for this big disastrous bill. And then you're coming out and complaining about the bill afterwards, saying that I'm very concerned about the constituents of Alaska. I'm very concerned about these safety nets, especially Medicaid and SNAP. What are you talking about? This bill is going to be devastating for our country. We're going to be kicking between 7.6 and 15 million people off of their health insurance. And in some cases, then some of those people are prevented from buying their own coverage off of the ACA website, because they're going to do away with all of those provisions and those incentives as well. We're kicking millions of people off of their food assistance. I think we're cutting between $200 and $300 billion off of our SNAP program. But Lisa Murkowski, she voted for the bill anyway, and then had the gall to come out afterwards and say, I really hope it's not the final product, guys. I really hope that we can work together and get a bill that's really good for the rest of the nation. Lisa Murkowski can fuck right off. You voted for the damn bill. It is your job to not only look out for the constituents of your state, which is her primary job, but you also need to weigh that against what is good for this nation. Right? If you were, taking subsidies for the state of Alaska at the expense of poisoning people in other states, would you take up that bill because you're just looking out for your constituents? Of course you wouldn't. Jim McGovern, after this bill passed the Senate and it went back over to be debated, here's what Jim McGovern had to say about the cowardice of Lisa Murkowski.
This Republican House is dysfunction on steroids. And let me say to my Republican friends, and listen to this quote from Senator Murkowski, who just caved and voted for this bill. And you got to love this. She said, quote, "My hope is that the House is going to look at this and recognize that we're not there yet," end quote. I mean, my question to her is, if you really believe that, then why the hell did you vote for this bill? It doesn't make any sense. It's a dereliction of your duty as a United States Senator and as a representative for the people in Alaska. I mean, when was the last time this current House of Representatives has fixed or solved anything? I mean, where have you been, Senator Murkowski? This Republican...
Yeah, that is exactly right. You know, when the big beautiful bill, as they like to call it, this big disastrous bill, when it was first being, thought through in the House, when it was first being written, and all of these bad ideas were kind of leaking out or whatever, everybody was hoping that we looked at this House bill, and it's an absolute monstrosity. And there were so many people out there that were saying that, oh, okay, it's going to go over to the Senate, and the Senate, they're more reasonable, right, guys? They're more reasonable. They're going to take a lot of this crazy stuff out. It's going to be bad, but it won't be as bad. That is what everybody was hoping. So what the hell is Lisa Murkowski talking about? That, oh, the House is going to make it better, guys. The House is going to make it better. If anything, the House is going to make it worse. We have more radicals and extremists in the House than we do in the Senate. Lisa Murkowski knows this. She knows this. She is looking for any plausible deniability to get herself through this terrible, terrible vote. That is what this boils down to. I just cannot stand these people who pretend like they're above everybody else. I'm a moderate. I'm just looking out for the people of my state, guys. I'm not this MAGA cohort. I'm not part of those. Those guys are crazy. Don't count me in with one of them. But then you fall in line so fishermen can have a few more tax breaks. Give me a goddamn break. And so Lisa Murkowski is being clowned on for this terrible vote. And I really like what Jim McGovern had to say next here.
Having a colloquy, Chairman Smith.
Is that all it took?
I'm not sure.
Wait, she's a cheap date. If that's what it took, yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
She's a cheap date. Some work requirement exemptions, some additional tax breaks for fishermen or whalers. There's a few other things that I'm not mentioning here. But pretty much what it looks like is she sold out the rest of the nation to get just a few peanuts for the Alaskan people. Just think about how twisted that is. And then she comes out afterwards and pretends like, this was the hardest thing I had to do, guys. I know it's not a good bill, but I had to look out for my constituents. Again, Lisa Murkowski, you can fuck right off. You are a weak, cowardly, spineless individual who should be nowhere near power. And come the midterms, every single one of these Republicans, they should be voted out of office. Every single one of them. This bill is probably the worst piece of legislation that has ever been passed or will be passed in this country, maybe even the world. It is an absolute disaster. It is the biggest wealth transfer from the poorest among us to the wealthiest among us, all in the name of kicking some waste, fraud, and abuse off of these programs while giving giant tax breaks to the top 1% of people. It's a travesty. As I said before, it is immoral, it is wrong, and it is going to be devastating for this country. And Lisa Murkowski, she's complicit in the death and destruction that this bill will bring. So I'll leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against the right-wing media ecosystem that just launders all of these terrible, terrible ideas for the Trump administration day in and day out. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. Of course, that is free. And if you guys want to see how the Supreme Court has opened up the floodgates so Donald Trump can continue in his lawlessness, go and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.